From the dawn of chaos, when time had no name, when the world had yet to take shape, two opposing forces already existed. On one side, the frost of Niflheim, so cold it could freeze even the light, and on the other, Muspelheim, the realm of eternal flame, so hot it could scorch the very concept of life. From the heart of Muspelheim, a primordial being was born. Not a god, not a typical giant. He was fire that could think, the embodiment of pure destruction. His name was Surtr, the gatekeeper of the apocalypse, wielder of a flaming sword that could reduce the heavens to ash. For thousands of years, Surtr neither moved nor spoke. He simply stood, his hand gripping the red-hot sword, its flames distorting and evaporating the very air around him. Some say that each time he shifts his stance, a star extinguishes somewhere in the far reaches of the cosmos. But why does he exist? What is he waiting for? According to ancient prophecies, when the world nears its end, when humans lose their faith, when the gods fall into division and error, Surtr will step out of Muspelheim. And that moment will mark the beginning of Ragnarok, the twilight of the entire Norse cosmos. But Surtr is no villain. He bears no hatred, no thirst for blood. He is simply the inevitable end. As night must follow day, as ashes must follow fire. And when he raises his flaming sword to the sky, not even the gods can escape that judgment, because Surtr's fire does not burn the world out of rage. It burns because it must. Before any god ruled atop Asgard, before the world tree Yggdrasil stretched its vast roots to connect the 9 realms, the first 2 lands of the cosmos had already come into being as 2 polar extremes of an unawakened cosmic soul: Niflheim, the unmoving land of frost, and Muspelheim, the blazing realm that never sleeps. From the fiery core of Muspelheim, where molten lava surged like the blood of an angry entity, a primordial being was born. Not born like the gods, not shaped like man or common giant. This being was forged from the very primal fire of the universe, and the first name the legends gave him was Surtr. Surtr does not speak, nor does he laugh. He has no need for a kingdom, for power, for praise. He simply stands, motionless, like a volcano on the verge of eruption. His eyes burn like 2 dead stars, and in his hand is a sword ablaze with a brilliance no one can gaze upon. The fire from its blade does not merely scorch flesh, it burns soul, it sears away hope. According to ancient tales, Surtr is neither good nor evil. He has no heart to love, no reason to hate. He is simply the necessity of a cosmos governed by order, where every life must someday end. If Odin is wisdom and Thor is strength, then Surtr is certainty. The certainty that all things with a beginning must one day fade into ash. Yet while the gods of Asgard fought and ruled and carved their sagas, Surtr never left Muspelheim. He stood there as part of the universe itself, forgotten by tales, yet never gone. Only those brave enough to journey deep into the realm of flame could feel his suffocating presence, a breath that scorches the lungs, a gaze that freezes the heart in fear. Surtr is no predator, but he is the end of every hunt. He is the one even the gods tread carefully around. For in Odin's prophetic dreams, when he sought wisdom from Mimir's well, or hung himself on Yggdrasil to glimpse fate, Surtr's name always emerged. And with him, the vision of Ragnarok, the downfall of all worlds. They say Surtr's flaming sword will only blaze at full power once, when Ragnarok begins, when the world falls into chaos, when the Bifrost Bridge shatters, when the sun is swallowed, when gods slay one another, then Surtr will emerge from Muspelheim. Not to fight, but to end it. Like the final hammer strike on the nail sealing the universe's coffin, he does not care who is right or wrong. He needs no reason. Surtr was born for one purpose, to burn it all down, so that from the ashes, something new might be born. No one knows what Surtr's sword was forged from. Not metal, not gems, not divine treasure. It, like him, was born with Muspelheim, from the very heart of the primal cosmic flame. They call it Flamebringer. Some legends say, when the blade hums, The earth melts, the ground splits, and no matter can withstand its heat for more than a few seconds. Its light is unlike any ordinary fire, not yellow, not red, but a blinding white, like sunlight compressed into a lethal blade. The sword need not slash. Merely being drawn is enough to set the sky ablaze. That is why Surtr has not wielded it, for millennia. He merely holds it, as if restraining the end of days within his palm. Yet this weapon is more than a tool of destruction. It is a symbol of an unalterable truth, that all order shall one day be erased, and only after the end can a new beginning arise. In Odin's prophetic visions of Ragnarok, Surtr does not roar, does not rage, he simply walks, and with each step, the flame from his sword spreads like a tidal wave, consuming everything. Freyr, god of harvest and light, one of Asgard's noblest, will be the only one to stand against Surtr when the fire comes. But even he, with all his strength and courage, will be powerless. For Freyr once gave away his magic sword for love, and that in the end will cost him his life. The flaming sword, in Surtr's hand, is not merely a weapon, but the final verdict of the cosmos. It asks no questions. It needs no justice. It arrives when its time has come, and when it burns in full, nothing can endure. Ragnarok, a name known across all realms, yet truly understood by none. It is not just a war, not merely the death of gods. Ragnarok is the dissolution of the Norse universe, a cycle destined from the moment Yggdrasil first rooted itself into existence. The omens began to emerge. The moon and the sun were devoured by two giant wolves. Winter dragged on endlessly, ice covering even the blazing realm of Muspelheim. The gods began to suspect one another. Loki, the trickster, betrayed them and led an army of vengeful spirits. But amidst the chaos, a silent figure began to rise. Surtr, the one who had remained still since the birth of the cosmos, now stirred. No declaration of war, no banners raised. With a single step, Muspelheim trembled. Then, like a dam bursting, with molten lava, Surtr stepped into Midgard, the world of humans, carrying his flaming sword and the unshakable will to bring the final end. No one could stop him. The Bifrost, the rainbow bridge connecting the realms, was crushed beneath Surtr's feet in mere seconds. Not because of brute strength, but because his essence was the destruction of all connection. What once bound, the cosmos together had now been reduced to ash by fire. In Asgard, the gods gathered in despair. Odin led them. Thor thundered. Freyr stood before Surtr, knowing full well he would not survive. Surtr's fiery sword blazed like a star on the verge of explosion. Freyr struck first, but in the blink of an eye, his body was consumed by a cyclone of flame. He fell, leaving nothing but ashes and an unregretful gaze. Surtr kept walking. His sword did not need to strike. Its mere presence was enough. Great fortresses crumbled, the roots of Yggdrasil smoldered, the waters of Mimir's well boiled like oil. Odin fought Fenrir, the doomsday wolf, and fell. Thor defeated Jormungandr, the colossal serpent, but collapsed after 9 steps from the poison. Asgard, the home of the gods, blazed in a sea of fire, then collapsed entirely. Amidst the ruins, Surtr stood, alone, yet not lonely. For his fire had now engulfed all 9 realms. The world seemed submerged in a vast sea of molten flame. No more light, no more song. Only howling winds and the acrid scent of annihilation. But the most terrifying thing wasn't the fire. It was Surtr's calm. He wasn't angry. He wasn't triumphant. He sought no glory. He didn't look back at what had burned, because he had no need to know the outcome. He fulfilled the only task fate had given him, to end. And when the fire had scorched heaven and earth, Surtr, he himself, vanished into the flames he had created. He did not exist to rule a new world. No throne awaited him. No glorious reward. He was the final flame, and once it had consumed all, even the fire itself was spent. It seemed like everything was over, but in the ashes, something stirred. A tender sprout emerged from the scorched ground. A faint light pierced the layers of dust. A new world was beginning. Surtr was not a villain. He was a necessity, the embodiment of the eternal cycle, birth, destruction, rebirth. And in Ragnarok, when he stepped forth with his sword of fire, all grandeur, even that of the gods, had to bow before the end. When Surtr is mentioned, people often think only of destruction, a towering being wrapped in flames, swinging a sword that sets the world ablaze. He appeared at Ragnarok not to fight, but to erase. But if we stop there, we'll miss one of the most profound messages hidden in Norse mythology. Because Surtr was not evil. He didn't kill out of hatred. He didn't rebel for power. He acted as an essential part of the cosmic cycle, a final gear that resets everything to the starting point. In Ragnarok, death was not merely an end, it was a purification. In the ashes of war, when the gods had fallen, when the world had been burned, life still flickered. Two humans, Lif and Lifthrasir, hidden within the trunk of Yggdrasil, would emerge to rebuild the new world. Young gods like Baldur would return from death. A new dawn would rise. And for that to happen, there had to be complete destruction. There had to be Surtr. He symbolized necessary death, the breaking of all old structures to clear the way for the new. Just as a forest after a great fire, where life seems to have been wiped out, becomes fertile ground for new sprouts. Surtr's fire was the fire of rebirth, not of hatred. Norse mythology never drew clear lines between good and evil. Odin, though the supreme god, was cunning and ruthless. Loki, though a traitor, carried loneliness and sharp intellect. And Surtr, seemingly the destroyer, bore within him the seed of creation. So, when we look at the blazing sword in Surtr's hand, remember, it is not only the blade that ended the gods, it is also the spark that gave birth to a new universe, where every beginning is sown from the ashes. When the tale of Surtr concludes, we witness not just a fierce battle, or the tragic fall of gods. We experience a spiral of destiny, where everything, from light to darkness, from life to death, is an inseparable link. Surtr did not speak much. He didn't need to. His silence echoed as a truth. Everything in existence will one day end, but in the ashes, life will bloom. He was no hero, nor was he a dark god. He was the executor of the final law, a law even Odin could not escape. And perhaps that is what makes Surtr a singular figure in Norse mythology. Not because of his power, not because of his blazing sword, but because of the necessity of an ending. In a world full of schemes, hatred, and loss, only when everything is cleansed by sacred fire can a new order be born. When you look into Surtr's fire, don't see only destruction. See within it the chance to begin again, from the start, with a world no longer decayed, no longer broken. A world where light is no longer overshadowed by the remnants of what once was. The story of Surtr is not just a myth. It is a reminder to us all. To begin again, sometimes we must dare to accept the end for a...
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you found the video helpful and interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Wishing you a wonderful day, and see you in the next video.